Hello there, it's Paul here and welcome everyone. So in this video I have made a bud vase inside a vase and I'll have a chat at the end. About 18 months ago I was doing a lot of projects without videoing, already about the second week of February, and I've really done nothing in the shed this year because I've been having a little bit of a break again. So I thought I'd revisit one of the projects that I was doing 18 months ago. I'm going to attempt to do what I class as a vase within a vase. So I've got this piece of wood on the lathe here. It's got cracks at each end, so I'm not going to know how much this has gone in until I get this trued up. So I've trued this up now and I've got a nice knot there which has got some cracks in it, so that I'm just going to have to see how it goes when I take this down. Worst case scenario, we'll just add that little bit of character to the piece. I've parted off probably maybe inch or so on the end here, and that has just about got rid of all the cracks. If there's going to be any, it's going to be right on the edge here. The only problem would be how far the cracks are coming up from this end, but I suspect it's probably going to be a similar sort of size, but I only want to make a piece about that sort of size anyway, so there's going to be a fair bit of waste on the bottom here. So what I'm going to do next is I want to shape the outside of the piece first of all for what's going to be the overall outside. This at the moment is probably way too thick because I want to do inside something that looks a bit like a bud vase. So you're going to have that narrow neck down the middle and the bulbous piece at the bottom. But I want the outside here to be sort of just a large curve, so it's wider in the centre here, narrows down at the top and narrows down at the bottom. So I'm going to take this down first of all to get that outside shape, and then I can then take it from there as to see what this is really going to look like. I've got the outside shape that I want for this one. I did say I want to have this inside as a bud vase, so I'm going to drop in a glass test tube I've got as well. That is about 15.5mm on there, so I'm using a 16mm drill bit, so I literally need to drill the full length of this piece all the way in there to then cater for the test tube. I've drilled my hole in there, which is now deep enough to take the whole test tube in there. This has a rim on it, and I will just knock back the corner on there a bit so that the rim sits in there a little bit, so it doesn't sit out too much. It's good having the rim ones, because then if your hole is too deep, you don't have to worry about getting it to an exact size, and that way the test tube always sits at the top and you can easily get it out again if you want to. So what I'm going to do now is I want to create grooves in here, then make it look like there's an actual bud vase inside. So I'm just going to use my ordinary diamond parting tool. The diameter on this is just under 5mm, so I'm going to mark, just using my calipers, marks on here every 10mm, so that way I can then use even cuts all the way down. And I'm just going to do that so that it's now, hopefully that shows up on the camera okay, but I've now got these even marks all the way down, so I'll just use the parting tool to go to one side of the line, and I might even do it so that I'm centrally in the line. So just going to mark those off with the pencil so that we can clearly see them. As you can see, it's going to go right through that knot, both sides there, and I'm going to catch that one if I'm going to use the parting tool in the centre. I'm just going to go in with the parting tool sort of central with the line each time and define the shape inside. Now, sometimes as well you might find, especially with these diamond parting tools, that when you do grind this you do actually get a slight angle, so it's always worthwhile checking, because especially when you want to start coming out with a curve, it's nice to get that angle the right way round. But it seems my parting tool this time has actually got a fairly straight edge. So I know I've got a 16mm hole in there. Just see what that's come down to. So 26mm, so we've got walls in there of about 5mm each side, so I can go a little bit thinner, but I am just about at the limit. That's the main sort of like spout of the bud vase. So I'm now going to start making these last 5 cuts so that they're more the bulbous shape. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm actually going to do this middle one, because that will be sort of like the biggest thickness, and then I can take either side down narrower. So that's the vase, the bud vase inside the vase, and the knots seem to have worked out okay. Probably that's the only probably annoying one. But I'm just going to now just cut this top back a little bit, just so that the test tube can just drop in there. So the test tube now actually fits fine in there. Just got a nice recessed edge. It's just sitting slightly proud. And what you find as well is that because I've took all this structure away from here, the wood moves a little bit. So I did have to just rerun the 16mm drill bit through in there just a few times just to smoothen it out a little bit. And that now goes through there fine. But just need to get this sanded up, and then I can look at parting this off. And I might create a jam chuck to see if I can tidy that bottom up a bit. I've just put my name on the bottom with typography. I did actually have a small hole there, so I just filled that with a little bit of wood shavings and some CA glue just to sort of try and finish that off a little bit better. But other than that, the bottom has come up quite nicely. So I'm going to just finish this off with lemon oil, and not really a lot else you can do, because obviously we've got everything in there. You're going to need some form of an oil. Can't really do a wax on this. Could do a spray lacquer, but again, you wouldn't really get the penetration all the way inside, and especially with the character of this wood, I just think that something like lemon oil just brings this out a lot better. So you can see really how much has changed already. And that's the finished piece, and the test tube in there just slides in and out nice and easy, so there wasn't anything extra I had to do there. After I'd initially drilled the hole, the test tube went in no problem whatsoever, but when I'd actually cut out all of these slots, it was actually a really tight fit, so I just had to run the drill in and out probably about half a dozen times just to free it up again. I think what's actually happened is that because when you take out these, it takes out the structure of the wood, so it allows it to twist and move a little bit more, so therefore it just twisted enough just to bind the actual test tube in there. But now it works absolutely fine. Finish wise, lemon oil, I've got to say, to me, with this piece of wood, works really well. It's ideal with the lemon oil to get in these slots with a brush. I mean, just that one coat took me probably about 10 to 15 minutes to do that one coat. So if you're going to build up several coats, then it's going to take quite a bit of time. Got to say, really pleased with the result on that. hopefully this has just given you another different idea to have a look at. I mean, that's just one idea of putting a bud vase inside a vase. You can at least do almost anything you like shape wise. So you could, it doesn't actually have to be a vase within a vase, it could be something else that you could think of. If you've got any thoughts, certainly on something inside which actually isn't a vase that you could give a different type of shape to, then please do put it down in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching.